Hey guys, I want to talk about some of the drills that I mess around with sometimes. I'm not a big drill guy, but these are, to me, fun, and I kind of feel like I know I'm learning something. I know that they're useful. It's not it's not something that I would never do like in real life. Like, if you want to watch drills that I would never do in real life, go to like Darren Appleton's YouTube, or Jason Shaw has one too, and Darren will have, I don't know, 500 balls on the table and nothing touching, and then he'll run them without ever touching another ball. Pretty amazing. Jason Shaw has one where all the balls are diagonal, and I think he starts down there and puts them all in this pocket. Just, unbelievably talented, and I'd never do that. But some of these I do mess around with. So I have to give absolute full credit to Burt Kenister, because he's kind of the one that got me started on this particular drill and this set of drills. I kind of expanded a little bit for me on what Burt originally had said, but I didn't invent these drills. Somebody invented them before me. I just didn't know about it. Probably the same thing with Burt. He may not have invented them, but he sure as hell put out a video about them. Burt's enthusiasm and passion for the game is very infectious. If you've ever had a chance to watch any of his instructional videos. So, first one and the simplest one, and this is the one that Burt Kenister talked about. It's just 5 balls, and I believe, at least the way I do it, is they're random. I don't know where these balls, where they are at, what's what. And then I do this, and this. I have a dot at each intersection of every diamond on my table. I've talked about that. So I take this ball and put it there. I take this ball and I put it maybe about a 1/4 inch off of this diamond. Now in Bert's video, he talked about measuring this stuff out and getting it exact, and maybe even putting a little pencil mark on the table. I don't really do that. It's a 1/4 inch, whatever. And then this ball will go in the middle of those two. It is important that this ball is not sticking out, that this needs to be a straight line. And maybe I'll explain that here in a bit, or maybe it'll become evident. 5 ball, a little bit off, 4 ball, a little bit off. Again, these are just randomly placed within this set of 5. And then the simplest version of this drill is take ball in hand and shoot those balls in that pocket in order, without touching another ball. I don't care if I go off the rail and bounce back out, draw up here and back down, whatever. I mean, the goal would be keep it as simple as possible. And I found when I shoot stuff like this, I shoot things a lot more softly and with a lot more spin. This whole set of drills that I'm going to talk about here. I did a video a month or so ago, I think, about shooting at the quadrants of the cue ball. In other words, not the vertical axis, not the horizontal axis, but in one of the quadrants. I do a lot of that with this kind of drill, because I'm getting a lot of spin on balls. Because a lot of times I want a lot of spin. I'm really trying to watch my angles and not go too far. If I get too much angle on the 2, for example, or on the 1 ball, I don't want to shoot the 1 and then bounce all the way back over here. And I could in this case, but what I really want to do is bounce lightly off the rail. So I would shoot that softly with a lot of right angles, that type of thing. You guys can do whatever you want with your drills, but this is the simplest version of it. You shoot like this, you feel like there are going to be some gotchas. One of the gotchas are things like this, where you have to go from the 1 to the 2, and then back to the 3, and then back to the 4. There's a lot of moving around, and there can be, depending on your skill level, this can be too tough. Because what happens is, you shoot the 1, you come out this way, and now you're too steep on the 2, and you got to go all the way up the table and back down. So these are the kind of, and these are just, it's fun. Like I said, it's fun for me. So randomize the balls, and and do it again. Something goes on that spot, something goes right there, something goes right there. These are not frozen, about a 1/4 inch off the rail, and right in the middle in a straight line, and right in the middle in a straight line. Take them all in hand and shoot these guys in. This is a much easier layout. 1 to 2 to 3, pretty easy layout. So that's phase 1 or whatever. Phase 2 will be get 5 more balls, randomize them, and put them over here in the same type of scenario. Now in this case, we're going to have the 5 lowest balls here and the next 5 here. Shoot them in order. I'm going to take care of all these, and then I'm going to move over to that side of the table. So I have one transition that has to go to the other side of the table. In this case, it would be from the 5 to the 6. And on the 6, I'd want to be over here. I want to have this kind of an angle so I can come down for the 7. So this would be whatever I'm at, phase 2. So work on that. This can be really tricky when, like in my earlier example, when you have something like this happening. And you got to go from the 1 to the 2, not get too steep on the 2, or you got to go all the way up table. A lot of times with this type of setup, you happen to go up table and back down to try to get back on something. Let's say, well, I don't want to drag it out too long. I'm going to try to do some examples later on with my overhead camera, and maybe talk about some of the pitfalls. But this one can be tough if you have situations like this. This foot rail and that one over there, it's the same deal. It's tougher with 2 balls or 2 sets of balls because I don't have as much room over here to play around trying to get an angle on the 2. Anyway, so there's that. Phase 3 would be take these 10 balls and randomize. And just completely randomize, right? So I'm going to put 2 there, 2 there, 1 on the spot. I'm going to put 2 here, 2 here, 1 on the spot. So I don't know which ball is which, but I'm just going to put them in these positions just like I did on the other ones. So in this, I missed a ball. In this situation, you'd have to go back and forth across the table several times, watching your angle every time. From the 1 to the 2 isn't that tough in this case. Shoot the 1, draw back, just get a little bit of an angle on the 2 so you can bounce off the rail back up for the 3. But you got to bounce it far enough that you can just draw straight over for the 4, or you don't want to come up too far, so you can skim the 3 and come back over. And this, they start getting tougher. This is one of the ones that frustrates me. If I could do these every time, well, I'd find something tougher. That's one of the things about any drills, really. And I did do a video here last week or so about practicing the easy shot that you should never miss. That is different. When I do a drill, I'm trying to learn something or remind myself of something. Remind myself the importance of various angles and things like that. And you also get the muscle memory and things like that. But the main thing I'm trying to accomplish with a drill is I'm trying to train my brain to watch for these little angles and stuff that I don't always watch for as often as I should. So, what was that, phase 3? Is that what that was? So phase 4, take another 5 balls, put them up here. You put them down here in this corner if you want. Put them anywhere you want. It's your table, right? And now you not only have to go back and forth, but you have to come up here and deal with these things. Once you're done with all that, deal with these. Or you can randomize all 15 balls. So I might have the 1 up here, and the 2 there, and the 3 there, and the 4 here. And the most important thing about this this type of stuff, is angles. Watch the angles. Don't ever leave yourself a tough shot where you have to force a shot. Because if you force a shot, that may cause you to miss your angle on the next shot. Then you have to force it. And it can spiral out of control pretty quickly. This setup right here is, well, if these were truly random, and they're not, because I just moved 2 balls. But this is pretty tough. This is pretty tough. Even though they're all easy shots, they're all flipped in the pocket, it's tough to run these in order. And probably anybody that can do this at will or close to at will, they're going to be a pretty damn good player. So there's that. Those are tight in on the corners. You can do the same thing by just expanding it out. Take this ball, put it there. This ball, put it there. This ball, put it on this spot. I have dots on my table. Run these in sequence. Randomize them up, mix them up. Run them in sequence. You have to move the ball a lot further. The angles are just as important, or even more important. One of the nice things about this is, depending on how the balls are setting, I do have gaps. Let's say that 10 was gone, and the 1 was gone, and I got the wrong angle on the 7. I wanted something else on the 7. I can just follow through. There's no rule that says I can't just follow straight through these to get on the 7 like that. Does that make sense? So put these balls out here like in a little expanded pattern. You get good at that. Do the same thing up here. Put balls. I've lost the balls already. Do like that. Yeah, you gotta do random all over the table within their spots, or you could have low balls here and high balls up here. You'd probably work up to it. Start out with just the 1 set, then add the other set of the higher number of balls, for example. And then once you feel really comfortable with that, then mix them up. And obviously you can also do this with this situation. And to me, these are, like I said, useful and fun, and they're quick and easy to set up. I'm not setting up 100 balls, and if I screw something up and touch a ball, oh my gosh, now I got to spend the next hour, putting all the balls back. Don't have to do that. So those are some of the things that I do quite a bit, especially here lately. I felt like my accuracy in shot making has improved recently, which has meant I've gotten lazy on picking my angles. Well, I can make anything. I don't need to pick an angle. Angles are for beginners. They're not for beginners. They're for everybody that wants to play well. So I do that, quite a bit of that. When I was in New Orleans, I asked Tony Choyan, hey, do you have a drill to recommend? Tony's he's not a big practicer to begin with. He's like a warm-up guy. He doesn't do a lot of practicing. He doesn't do a lot of drills, but he did tell me about doing one that I already knew about, which is this L drill that probably everybody has seen. I always get the number of balls wrong. So just line up these balls in this way, and these balls in this way. Leave a little bit of a gap. And I have to make sure that every ball will go, because when I shoot this one, I don't know what phase I'm at, stage I'm at, 8 or 9 or 10 or whatever, but when I'm shooting this one, I am not shooting them in order. The 1 and then the 2 and then the 3. If I was a complete and total glutton for punishment, or if I was really, 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 really good, maybe I would do that. But no, I just shoot them in order. And what I found, much to my dismay, is a lot of times I'll shoot the balls, and I'll get up here, and then I'll realize the 8 won't go because the 15's in the way in this case. And yeah, that's frustrating. So when I set them up, try my damnedest to make sure that they will all go. And my biggest problem with this drill, besides having something in the way of something else, is making this transition, going up and then making that turn. Now this here today, when I'm talking to you, I'm going way too far and everything. You need an angle on the one, or on the, in this case clearly on the one, but you don't need that damn much angle. These shots are all missable to me now because I'm getting too steep of an angle, and unless I can recover or miss, it's probably going to get worse. Make sense? And what I wanted was maybe something about like this, and make that recovery. I miss again, so I hate pool. This one, I don't know if I mess with this as much as I should, because it does get frustrating for me. Because again, it's one of those things I feel like I should be able to do fairly regularly, and I don't. And it's usually because I go too far. Sometimes I could get on a shot and not come up high enough on the one. So say I come up like this on the one. Sometimes that happens, but usually with me, it's because I shot it too hard, and instead of ending up there, I'm up here somewhere and trying to recover. Especially like right now, I'm on the rail a little bit. Well, that's another thing about crap. See, I wasn't even going to talk about this. It's another thing about like this setup. And that one in that corner is there are a lot of shots for me as a right-hander, and with this setup where I have to shoot a left-handed or get the bridge, and I don't want to do either one. I want to watch my angles well enough where I don't have to do that. But there are an awful lot of times where I'm trying to be all careful and watch my angles and blah blah blah, and I'll get the perfect angle on a ball, but I can't reach it. So I'm over here shooting the ball left-handed. That does happen to me quite a bit, and why I have these drills to try to work on stuff like that. And this last thing I want to talk about, I'm not even sure if this counts as drills, but I do these a lot. Usually facing the other way, facing the TV, and I do it a lot when I get a new cue or a new tip on a cue. Because I'll just take 4 balls and I'll just line them up, all within a diamond from the rail, and just start out with my ball in hand. Doesn't matter which ball. I usually start with the one on the rail, and just try to shoot them all with a lot of spin, because that's what I'm trying to get used to. Is a new cue, is it going to squirt more, squirt less, or a new tip? What's going to happen? Different chalk. So I don't shoot these shots with center ball. I put them usually with bottom outside on a shot like this, and get out. What's going on? What's going on? This is much more for me about just learning about the cue and the equipment I'm using than it is like with my other drills, which is trying to learn what to do, what to watch out for, things like that. In this case, it's not nearly as much that as just learning what is the cue I'm going to do. If I had another ball, because I didn't come out far enough on the 5, if I had another ball, then I would have to draw straight back and hopefully not get too much angle on the next ball. But for the most part, this time I use bottom right because that's bottom outside in this case, and that's just to give my my inner pool player an opportunity to learn what are the characteristics of that cue and tip and chop and all that fun stuff. So I think my plan right now is sometime I don't know if it'll be tonight or tomorrow, is I have an overhead camera. It's not a lot overhead, but it's a little bit overhead. And I want to just have it video me going through some of these drills. So if you guys want to watch somebody struggle through some of them, then it'll be there. And maybe I'll interrupt and yammer about some of the things. Maybe I won't. Sometimes I change my mind. I'm a grown man. I'm allowed to change my mind. I may just publish this video as it is and encourage you guys to try these, come up with your own whatever. A drill doesn't have to be like a Darren Appleton level drill to be useful and fun and all that. It can be like these ones I just showed, useful and fun at our level, my level as a normal pool player, the normal person. The ones I showed here are useful to me. Trying the Jason Shaw with everything running diagonal, and that would not be very useful to me. That would just make me want to quit pool, is what that would do. Sell on like used, quit pool, take up tiddlywinks for a living. Can you make a living playing tiddlywinks? Probably not. Actually, you probably can't. I saw professional cornhole players on ESPN. If they're professional cornhole players, then they're probably professional tiddlywinks. So I have to look into that. Bye, guys.